Welcome, my weird witches. You've found Raven's Lorecast, where folklore, fire, and a little fierce honesty all meet in the same cauldron. I'm Raven Lorekeeper, storyteller, witch, and your unapologetic guide through myth, magic, and all the places the world told you not to wander. This podcast exists because magic deserves to be honest, witchcraft deserves to be inclusive, and every one of us who grew up other deserves a place to finally exhale. So pour yourself something comforting, settle in, and remember, the world may not have been built for us, but the magic was. Take a breath with me, weird ones. Slow in, slow out. Let your shoulders loosen and let the day slide off you like a cloak you don't need right now. Tonight, we're not walking into fire or snow or starlight. We're stepping into something quieter, something that moves at the edges of your vision. Because this episode belongs to 3 watchers. Before we step fully into their story, there's something you should know. This episode marks the beginning of a long woven thread that will run beneath our Sabbat journeys, a hidden map beneath the main road. As the year turns and the Manor travels, one animal watcher will step forward each quarter, revealing the deeper currents shaping that season. These are not mascots. They are not metaphors. They are archetypal forces tied to place, to lore, and to the inner alchemy each Sabbat stirs awake. And tonight, for the winter quarter, all 3 appear together: raven, fox, dove. Because this is the season where shadow, cunning, and grace braid into a single teaching. You've felt them before, even if you couldn't name them. That prickle at your spine when the air shifts. That warmth in your chest when something unseen leans toward you instead of away. That flicker in your mind, like a message trying to find its way in. So settle in. Light your candle if you've got one. A soft flame will do. No need for grandeur. This is an intimate kind of magic. Now breathe with me again. In through your nose. And exhale slowly, like letting go of a truth you were holding too tightly. As the air settles, listen. Really listen. There's a rustle in the shadows. A shimmer at your periphery, a pulse you can almost feel at your wrist. The raven is near, sharp-eyed, patient, carrying memory like a blade wrapped in velvet. The fox is circling, quiet pause, clever gaze, a little wild, a little familiar, the kind of intelligence that sees what you meant, not just what you said. And somewhere just above your heartbeat, the dove, soft, steady, the breath that lands lightly on the places you don't show anyone. The reminder that gentleness is its own kind of power. These 3 don't arrive together by accident. They come when you're standing at a hinge point, when something inside you is shifting shape and the world hasn't quite caught up. They're not here to tell you what to do. They're here to witness you becoming. So as we cross this threshold into tonight's story, let the raven sharpen your sight. Let the fox bring you curiosity without fear. Let the dove settle your breath and soften whatever's been clenched for too long. Because the path we're stepping onto now asks for honesty and offers comfort. Shadow and solace, truth and tenderness, 3 guides, each holding one piece of what you're ready to reclaim. Take one more breath, weird ones. Let the candle glow steady. Let the watchers gather. Wit, wisdom, witchcraft. Let's begin. Before we talk about animals as guides, we need to be clear about something. These are not mascots. They are not spirit animals in the pop culture sense. They are not aesthetic archetypes. They are functions of transformation. Across cultures, across time, across mythic systems that never spoke to one another directly, these three figures appear again and again at moments of rupture and becoming. Raven, fox, dove. Different lands, different names, same work. And to understand why they appear together now, we need to talk about alchemy, not as fantasy, not as medieval cosplay, but as technology of change. Let me share a brief word on alchemy and why it matters. Alchemy was never primarily about turning lead into gold. That story survived because it was safe, because it was metaphorical enough to hide the real work. True alchemy was about transformation under pressure, how something is broken down, repatterned, and reintegrated into a more coherent form, psychologically, spiritually, socially. Alchemy names three essential stages of change: negredo, the blackening, the breaking apart; albedo, or katrinatas, the washing, the repatterning, the awakening; rubedo, the reddening, the integration, the return of vitality. These are not neat, they are not linear, and they are never comfortable. So let's walk the stages, not as theory, but as lived experience. Raven arrives first because something must be dismantled before anything new can live. In alchemy, negredo is the phase where illusions die, not gently, not politely. This is the moment when the stories you survived can no longer sustain you. Raven is the one who tears at the carcass of old truths, beliefs that once protected you, relationships that once felt like home, identities that once made sense. This is not cruelty, it is compost. Raven does not ask if you are ready. Readiness is irrelevant. Raven asks only one question: is this true? And if the answer is no, it will not survive the night. This is the phase where people say things like, "Everything I believed just fell apart. I don't recognize myself anymore. I feel like I'm losing everything." You're not losing everything. You're losing what can't come with you. Raven presides over grief, rage, disillusionment, and sacred anger. This is where systems fail, where inherited myths crack, where survival strategies stop working. And that is not a personal failing. It is initiation. When Raven finishes the breaking, Fox arrives. Fox does not destroy. Fox adapts. This is the stage where many people get stuck because it requires flexibility, and flexibility is often mistaken for deceit. But Fox is not a liar. Fox is an intelligence that understands context. In alchemy, this phase is about washing away what no longer belongs and experimenting with new forms. Nothing is fixed yet. Everything is in motion. This is the phase where you try on new ways of being, new boundaries, new language, new truths, new relationships to power. Fox teaches you can be clever without being cruel. You can be strategic without being manipulative. You can change without betraying yourself. This is not the final form. This is rehearsal. Fox energy is playful, yes, but it is also deeply serious. It is how you survive transition without calcifying. Fox asks, what else might be possible? And then it tries. Dove comes last, and often quietly, because after breaking and repatterning, the final work is not brilliance. It is integration. Rubedo is the phase where vitality returns, not as chaos, not as fire, but as steadiness. This is where nervous systems regulate, where breath deepens, where you can hold complexity without collapsing. Dove is not weakness. Dove is the courage to remain open after transformation. It is the capacity to love without abandoning yourself, to trust without surrendering discernment, to be gentle without becoming small. This is the phase where people realize, I don't need to burn anymore. I don't need to prove my pain. I am allowed to be whole. We do not have to be on fire to deserve love. Dove teaches that the end of transformation is not spectacle. It is presence. There's a reason why these three appear together. Raven alone is destruction. Fox alone is instability. Dove alone is bypassing. But together, they form a complete circuit. This is why they appear at thresholds, at seasonal hinges, at moments when people are becoming something they have never been before. This is not random. This is architecture. When the manor travels, does not move blindly. It settles where transformation is already underway. Raven watches the threshold. Fox tests the terrain. Dove tends what emerges. They are not here to guide you step by step. They are here to witness the work you are already doing. If Raven has been loud in your life, something false is ending. If Fox has been active, you are learning how to live differently. If Dove has been near, you are integrating more than you realize. None of these are accidents, and none of them are punishments. They are signs that the alchemy is working. Transformation is not a glow-up. It is a reckoning, a negotiation, a return, and it requires all three: shadow, intelligence, grace. Raven, Fox, Dove. This is the work, and this is the lore. Take a slow breath, bright one. Let your spine lengthen. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears, because the sky on February 8th carries a very particular kind of truth, the kind that doesn't arrive with fireworks or spectacle. It reveals, and revealing is rarely loud. Tonight, the sun moves steadily through Aquarius, the moon wanes after fullness, and the heavens are in a state of integration rather than initiation. This is the aftermath sky. The full moon has already passed. She gave us her brightness, her exposure, her undeniable clarity. Now the light is receding, not disappearing, but refining. This is the waning gibbous phase, the part of the lunar cycle where truth is no longer shocking. It's simply unavoidable. This is where you ask, what do I do with what I now know? What can't be unseen? What version of myself no longer fits? The moon is still generous with light, about 60% illuminated, but each night something is being released. This is not loss. This is integration. For much of the day, the moon moves through Libra. Libra does not ask for harmony at all costs. That's a modern misunderstanding. In a waning phase, Libra becomes the mirror that doesn't lie. It asks, where are you overgiving? Where are you performing peace instead of living it? Where are you calling imbalance fairness just to avoid conflict? As the moon edges towards Scorpio, the tone deepens. Surface truths become emotional truths. Intellectual realizations sink into the body. What Libra reveals, Scorpio insists must be dealt with. The sun remains in Aquarius, the sign of outsiders, visionaries, and systems that refuse stagnation. Aquarius does not ask, is this comfortable? Aquarius asks, is this true? This is the season where self-definition matters more than approval, and collective pressure cannot override personal integrity. Paired with a waning moon, this is not rebellion, it's recalibration. Mercury drifts through Pisces now, softening thought and dissolving rigid logic. This is not confusion, this is embodied knowing. Insight arrives through dreams, through memory, through sudden emotional recognition. You don't reason your way here, you remember. Venus and Mars travel together in Aquarius, stripping relationships of performance and expectation. What remains is simple and confronting freedom, truth, alignment. This is not the energy of romantic fantasy. This is the energy of asking, can I be myself here without shrinking or pretending? Jupiter shines brightly in Cancer tonight, expanding not through conquest, but through protection, nourishment, and belonging. This is growth that comes from emotional safety, chosen family, tending what matters. It is a reminder that expansion doesn't always look like forward motion. Sometimes it looks like building walls that keep the right things in. Saturn remains in the final degrees of Pisces. This is the closing exam of a long emotional chapter. Saturn here asks, what illusion are you done carrying? What empathy became self-erasure? What dream is complete, even if it hurts to admit? This is not punishment. This is clarity. Tonight, the Alpha Centaurid meteor shower reaches its peak, but from the northern hemisphere, you won't see it. And that matters, because this sky is not about visible spectacle. It's about felt truth. Things are breaking open just below your horizon. Change is happening whether you witness it or not, and your body knows. Raven sees the truth without flinching. Fox adapts with intelligence, not panic. Dove tends the emotional aftermath without abandoning peace. This sky invites all three. This is not a night of beginnings. It is the night that decides how you will continue. Choose with clarity, release with dignity, rebuild with intention. The light is fading, but wisdom is sharpening, and that is exactly what you need right now. All right, my weirdlings, come on back to the hearth. We've walked with the raven, we've stood our ground with the fox, and we've softened our breath with the dove. Now it's time to taste what those lessons become when they're folded into something warm, something fragrant, something that asks you to stay long enough for acceptance to rise. Tonight, we're baking a ginger cardamom quick bread, darkened with molasses and studded with dried cherries and apricots. Oat milk based, soft crumbed, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and absolutely soaked in meaning. This isn't dessert. This is a ritual disguised as comfort food. This is how we say, may I meet myself exactly where I am and feed that version of me with love. Let's gather the ingredients. As you pull each item onto your counter, remember, in kitchen witchery, the ingredient is the intention. Dried cherries represent the raven, dark, jewel-toned, sharp with truth. They cut through denial. They wake the tongue the way truth wakes the soul. Ginger and cardamom represent the fox, heat and cunning, courage without cruelty, fire that knows exactly where to burn and where to soothe. Oat milk and vanilla are the dove, gentle, stabilizing, the body-softening sweetness that lets forgiveness land where it needs to land. Apricots are your becoming, bright, tender, sun-kissed, the reminder that healing still has sweetness left. And molasses for the shadow, dark, slow, grounding, the part of you that doesn't rush, doesn't hide, doesn't apologize. Shadow made edible. Tonight, they come together to make a bread that tastes like self-honesty wrapped in mercy. Gather what you'll need. First, the dry ingredients. 1 3/4 cup gluten-free flour blend. 1 teaspoon baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. 1/2 teaspoon ground cardamom. 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. For the wet ingredients, a 1/2 cup of molasses, 1/3 cup olive oil or melted coconut oil, 1 cup oat milk, 1 tablespoon vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon ground flax, plus 3 tablespoons warm water. As you know, this is the vegan egg recipe. Fruit for the spell itself, 1/2 cup dried cherries chopped, representing the raven, and a 1/2 cup dried apricots chopped, representing the dove. Set your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Let that heat remind you acceptance isn't passive, it's warm. It requires participation. Activate your flax egg. Stir the flax and warm water together. Watch it thicken. This is your binding spell, the part of you that chooses not to fall apart today. Mix your dry ingredients. In a large bowl, whisk together the flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, ginger, cardamom, and cinnamon. As the spices lift into the air, breathe them in. Let the fox sharpen your senses. Let its courage rise in your chest. In a separate bowl, blend the molasses, oil, oat milk, vanilla, and your flax mixture. The raven lives here. Dark, honest, slow. Let it remind you, truth doesn't have to hurt to be real. Pour the wet into the dry. Stir slowly. You're not forcing this. You're inviting it. Say quietly as the batter thickens, "May what rises in me be something I can hold." Fold in your fruits. Cherries for truth. Apricots for softness. Watch the colors, dark red and gold, swirl like stories you're finally ready to face. Grease a loaf pan or line it with parchment. Pour the batter in. Smooth the top with the back of your spoon. Slide it into your oven for 40 to 50 minutes, checking the center with a toothpick. While it bakes, listen. This is where the magic actually happens, between the waiting and the wanting. Acceptance is a slow rise magic. You can't rush it. You can only breathe with it. When your kitchen starts to smell like warmth waking up, that's when you'll know it's close. Let the loaf cool for at least 10 minutes. I know. I never last that long either. But tonight, give the dove its due. Let softness lead. Tear it with your hands if you want to stay in the oldest kind of magic. Feel the weight of it. Feel the warmth. Let the smell reach you before the taste does. Then take your first bite. Ginger heat, cherry tang, apricot glow, molasses grounding, vanilla sweetness, truth, courage, peace, raven, fox, dove, exactly as they were meant to be. Say this for the next few days before each initial bite to carry the magic deeper. Raven for truth, fox for courage, dove for peace, goddess, grant me this. Let it be the anchor. Let it be. As you finish your piece, place your hand gently over your heart. Whisper gratitude to the part of you that showed up today. Even if imperfect, even if tired, even if trembling, this bread is acceptance you can hold. Not because everything is resolved, but because you are worthy of nourishment even while you're still becoming. Acceptance you can taste. Acceptance that meets you exactly where you are and invites you to stay. All right, weird ones, brush the crumbs from your fingers. Take a breath that feels like honesty softened by hope. Let's step back to the fire together. Before we close this circle, I want you to pause for a moment. Not to think, not to analyze, but to notice where you are right now. Not where you wish you were, not where you think you should be. Here, exactly here, exactly as you are. So much of what we're taught about growth tells us that acceptance means giving up, that if we stop pushing, striving, transforming, we'll somehow stagnate. But acceptance isn't giving up. Acceptance is showing up. It's choosing to stay present with yourself after the unraveling. It's remaining in your body after the truth lands. It's letting yourself be seen by you without flinching. Raven taught you to tell the truth. Fox taught you how to adapt without losing yourself. Dove teaches you how to stay open without breaking. And this moment right here is where those teachings come together. Not in perfection, not in certainty, but in willingness. If you take nothing else from this episode, take this. You do not have to be finished to be worthy. You do not have to be healed to be whole. You do not have to be loud or fierce or luminous to belong. The part of you that is tired, the part of you still learning, the part that feels quiet and unsure, that's not failure. That's the part of you that has survived every version of yourself you've ever been and chose to stay. That is magic. Not the kind that dazzles, the kind that endures. So as you move forward from this episode, carry that knowing gently. Let Raven sharpen your sight when truth is required. Let Fox lend you curiosity when change is needed. Let Dove steady your breath when softness feels risky. And remember, magic doesn't measure intensity. It measures willingness. Thank you for stepping into this work with me. Thank you for your presence, your attention, your courage. Until we meet again, wit, wisdom, witchcraft. Thank you, my weird witches, for giving me a little of your time and your beautiful attention today. If this episode stirred something in you, a memory, a spark, a question, a fire, please share it. Spread the word. That's how our circle grows. You can find me on socials at Ravens Lorecast on Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and at Ravens_lore_cast on Instagram and Threads. And if you've got a question, a story, a spellcraft request, or just the world's cutest familiar photo, email me at raven@ravenslorecast.com. I really do read them. Until next time, keep your fire tended, your humor wicked, and your heart brave and wide open. This is Raven Lorekeeper, signing off with love, grit, and a whisper of magic on your path.